morning children. Today I am going to continue 10th standard geography unit 2 second lesson, that is Indian physiography. Yesterday I have already started with the northern mountain. So today I am going to start about the Himalaya, what it is consists of. It is consisting of three. The Himalaya consists of the three parallel ranges. That is, I have already mentioned here, the Greater Himalaya, the Lesser Himalaya and the Shivalik Hills. I'll repeat once again. The Himalayas consist of three parallel ranges, that is the Greater Himalayas, the Lesser Himalayas and the Shivalik Hills. First and foremost, I want to go with the Greater Himalayas. What do you mean by Greater Himalayas? They are the innermost continuous and the highest ranges. The innermost continuous and the highest ranges are the Greater Himalayas. The average height of the range is 6,100 meters. 6,100 meters. The average height of this Greater Himalaya range is 6,100 meters. These ranges have many high peaks. So these ranges have got many high peaks, and these ranges have many high peaks, and in that Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world with 8,848 meters. Mount Everest. Okay, now I am going to tell you about the Mount Everest. So Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world with 8,848 meters. The height of the peak, highest peak of the Mount Everest is 8,848 meters. The other peaks are, what are they? Kanchenjunga, that is 8,559 meters. Makulu, 8,481 meters. Then you have got Dhaulagiri, that is 8,172 meters. Manusula, that is 8,156 meters, and Nanda Devi, etc. So there are many other peaks other than the Mount Everest, which is the highest peak with the 8,848 meters. As the Greater Himalayas are always covered with snow, you know Himalaya always covered with snow throughout the year. So there is full of snow. These ranges are also called as the Himadri because it is always covered with snow. So the ranges are called as Himadri. So ranges are called as Himadri. Okay? Because it is always covered with snow. So these ranges are called as the Himadri. They are the house of many glaciers such as Gangotri and Yamunotri glaciers. So these are the home for many glaciers such as Gangotri and Yamunotri glaciers. The mountain lying to the northwest of the Himadri are called as Trans-Himalayas. So the mountain lying to the northwest of the Himadri are called as Trans-Himalayas. They comprise of Karakoram range, where the highest peak is called as K2 or Mount Godwin Austen is located. So they comprise of Karakoram range, where the highest peak is called as K2 or Mount Godwin and Austen. It is called as where there it is located, and this peak is the highest peak in India. So I will repeat once again about the Greater Himalayas. They are the innermost continuous and the highest ranges, the Greater Himalayas, and the average height of this range is 6,100 meters. These ranges have many high peaks. Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world with 8,848 meters. The other peaks are Kanchenjunga, Makula, Dhaulagiri, Manasula, Nanda Devi, etc. As the Greater Himalayas are covered with snow throughout the year, these ranges are called as Himadri. They are the home of many glaciers such as Gangotri and Yamunotri glaciers. The mountain lying to the northwest of the Himadri are called as Trans-Himalayas. I'll repeat once again. The mountain which is lying to the northwest of the Himadri are called as Trans-Himalayas. They comprise of Karakoram range, where the highest peak is called as K2 or Mount Godwin and Austin. So it is either called as K2 or Mountain Godwin and Austin. So it is the highest peak in India. This is about the Greater Himalaya. Now second I am going to Lesser Himalaya. What do you know about Lesser Himalayas? These ranges are located in the south of the Greater Himalayas. They are known as Himachal. So these ranges are known as Himachal. Okay, so I'll repeat once again. These ranges are located in the south of the Greater Himalayas. So they are known as Himachal. The eastern part is covered with forest. The eastern part is covered with forest, and there are many parallel ranges in the Lesser Himalaya. What are those parallel ranges? Like example, you have got Pir Panjal, you have got Daula, the Naga, the Tiba, the Mussoorie, the Mahabharat, and the Darjeeling ranges. So they contain many valleys such as, what are the valleys? You have got Kashmir Valley, you have got Kangra Valley and the Kulu Valley. They are also noted for hill stations such as Shimla, Ranikhet, Mussoorie, Nainital and Darjeeling. Once again I will repeat of Lesser Himalaya children. The first one is the ranges are located into the south of the Greater Himalayas. So they are known as Himachal. So first one I told you it is known as Himadri, that is Greater Himalaya. So your Lesser Himalaya, these ranges are located in the south of the Greater Himalayas. So they are called as Himachal. So the eastern part is covered with forest. There it was, I told about the snow. Here the eastern part is always covered with a forest of the Lesser Himalayas. There are many parallel ranges in the Lesser Himalayas. Parallel ranges, opposites. Example, what are they? The Pir Panjal range, the Daula range, Dauladhar range, the Naga Tipa range, the Mussoorie, the Mahabharat and the Darjeeling ranges. So these are the different ranges. Other than that, they contain many valleys. What are those valleys? You have got Kulu Valley, you have got Kangra Valley and also you have got Kangra, Kulu and Kashmir Valley. So these are the three valleys. Okay. Then next to that you have got, there are also noted of hill stations. What are the hill stations you all have got? Such as Shimla Hill Station, Ranikhet, you have got even Mussoorie Hill Station, Nainital Hill Station and Darjeeling Hill Station. So this is about the Lesser Himalaya. So now I am going to the third one, that is Shivalik Hills. Now I am going for the third one, that is Shivalik Hills. What do you know about Shivalik Hills, children? They are the outermost ranges, or it is also called as foothills, located to the south of the main Himalayas. So I repeat once again, they are the outermost ranges, or also they are called as the foothills, located to the south of the main Himalayas. Therefore, they are known as the Outer Himalayas. They are the lowest ranges of the Himalayas. They extend from, where do they extend from? Jammu and Kashmir in the north to Arunachal Pradesh in the east, or in the west and in the west. From, I'll begin once again. They extend from where? Jammu and Kashmir. In the Jammu and Kashmir they extend. In the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east. They have flat Dehradun. So I'll repeat once again, children. They extend from, where do they extend from? Jammu and Kashmir in the west to where? Arunachal Pradesh in the east, and they have flat bottom structure valleys which are known as dunes. So example, it is Dehradun. So what is the importance of the Shivalik hills? Their slopes have thick forests and are ideal for plantation crops. So there are thick forests and the soil is very fertile for the plantation crops. So the crops of plantation crops are grown in these hills. So example, like you have got lot of tea in Assam. Okay, so this is also one of the plantation crop. So tea in Assam. So they is also called as they known for the storehouse of minerals and also the birthplace of many rivers and waterfalls which are used to generate hydroelectricity power. I'll repeat once again of the Shivalik hills. They are the outermost ranges or foothills located at the south of the main Himalayas. Therefore, they are known as the outer Himalayas. They are the lowest ranges of the Himalayas. They extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east. They are flat bottom structure valleys. They have which are known as dunes. Dunes means example you can say as Dehradun. What is the importance? Their slopes have thick forests and are ideal for plantation crops. What are plantation crops? Example, like you have got tea in Assam. So they are the storehouse of also many minerals and birthplace of many rivers and waterfalls which are used to generate hydroelectricity power. Now the next part I am going to is the Northern Great Plain. What do you mean by Northern Great Plain, children? It is formed by the dispositional work of three river systems. I'll repeat again. The Northern Great Plain is formed by the dispositional work of three river systems. What are they? Namely, these three river systems, dispositional work of the three river systems are, what are those? One is the Sutlej river, second is the Ganga, and the third is the Brahmaputra. I'll repeat once again. The Northern Great Plain, it is formed by the dispositional work of the three river systems. What are they? Sutlej river, Ganga river, and the Brahmaputra river. It is the largest alluvial soil tract in the world, extending from east to west. So it is the largest alluvial soil tract which is extending from the east to the west direction in the world. A length of about, how much length it is? 2,500 kilometers. It covers an area of about how much? 7 lakh kilometers square. The plain is formed from the fertile alluvium deposited by the rivers flowing from the Himalayas. The plain is very flat and the rocks are not exposed on the surface. So plain is flat, you cannot see the rocks on the surface. What is the importance of this? The Northern Great Plain is very suitable for irrigation and agriculture as it is perennial river and vast fertile alluvial soil. Its level land supports the network of, what all network? The roadways, the railways and the means of communication. So it extends the roadways, the railways and the means of communication. They are useful for industrialization, urbanization and trade. So many pilgrim centers are located here. I'll repeat once again about the Northern Great Plain. It is formed by the dispositional work of the three river systems. What are they? The river Sutlej, the river the Brahmaputra and the river Ganga. So these three rivers form together to form the dispositional work of the Northern Great Plain. It is the largest available soil tract in the world, extending from east to west direction and at the length of 2,500 kilometers. It covers the area of about 7 lakh kilometers square, and it is also said that the plain is formed from the fertile alluvium and deposited by the rivers flowing from the Himalayas. The plain is very flat and ranks. The plain is very flat, and there the rocks are not exposed on the surface. Because the plain is flat, you cannot see the rocks. The rocks are not exposed on the surface. And what are the importance? The northern Great Plain is very suitable for irrigation and agriculture, as it is the perennial river and very fast available, fertile available soil is available there. And so that is the reason its levels are, the level of the land supports the network of what all? The roadways, the railways and the communication. They are useful for industrialization, urbanization and trade, and it is also for that place, the northern plain is also known for the many pilgrim centers are located in that place. So this is the end of the northern Great Plain. Please see the video and learn. This lesson is not over. The next part I'll continue in the next class. So now just go to the video and just write what does the Himalaya consist of. Just give some points, two points of the Greater Himalaya, the Lesser Himalaya and the Shivalik Hills, and also about the North Great Plain. So write 2 points each, children, so that it will be a homework and so that you also can understand better. Thank you, children.